Namaskar, we are back on Media Scan with your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. The Election Commission's proposed move to seek financial details of schemes announced by political parties has generated a huge debate in the media circles. So, what does the proposal really entail and why is there such a reaction? We will ask our experts, but first up, what made news? In a mega push for development in the Himalayan state, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated a slew of projects in Himachal Pradesh this week. The big highlight, of course, was the opening of Bilaspur AIIMS exactly 5 years after its foundation was laid by PM Modi himself. He also became the first Prime Minister to participate in the world-famous Kullu Dashera festival, which attracts devotees from the whole globe. Election Commission of India has written to all political parties asking them to explain how they will raise the funds for the schemes they announce. It is learned that two pro forma would now be introduced in this concern. The first asking parties to spell out the estimated expenditure for the schemes, and the second asking them to explain how they would generate the finances for the same. Parties like the Congress, DMK, RJD, Shiv Sena, etc. have termed it an overreach, whereas PM Modi has been repeatedly cautioning the people against freebies, which he calls the reverie culture. Wait for a debate in just a few moments. There is no question of dialogue with Pakistan, but Centre is keen to listen to the people of Jammu Kashmir. This was clearly spelt out by Union Home Minister Amit Shah during his successful trip to the Union Territory this week. Shah said terrorism will not be tolerated and the Muftis and Abdullahs were responsible for the underdevelopment of the region. Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh Chief Mohan Bhagwat has reiterated the demand for comprehensive population policy to weed out community-based population imbalance. In his annual Dashera address, Bhagwat underlined the need for a comprehensively prepared population policy which must be applicable to all communities. He said these imbalances can also lead to change in geographical boundaries. Congress President Sonia Gandhi joined Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra briefly on Thursday, just as the Yatra was completing a month. Mrs. Gandhi joined the Yatra at Pandavapura in Karnataka. A photograph of Rahul tying his mother's shoelaces attracted much media attention. Viewers, taking note of the countrywide debate over freebies, the Election Commission has come out with a very interesting proposal. ECI has written to political parties asking them that whenever they announce a scheme for the people, they must come out with the exact estimate of the project or the scheme, and not just that, they will also have to explain in good detail how they propose to get the funding, the money to finance the proposal. This proposal of the Election Commission has generated very sharp reactions among the political parties, and not just political parties, even the media has raised some very serious questions. The editorials in newspapers, writers in op-ed columns and even commentators on TV. So, why these sharp reactions? Why the suspicion over the proposal when the entire country is seized with the financial implications of freebies? Let's ask our special guests for the evening. Joining me here on Media Scan this evening, Shekhar Iyer, former editor, well-known, seasoned, experienced political journalist. Namaskar Shekhar and welcome back to Media Scan.
Thank you very much Smita ji. Nice to be on your show again.
Also joining me this evening on Media Scan, Mr. Akshay Raut, well-known civil servant. He has served the Election Commission and been associated with some of the EC's most talked about initiatives. Great to have you on Media Scan, sir. Namaskar and welcome.
Namaskar, happy to be here.
My first question also comes to you, Mr. Akshay Raut. Sir, the Prime Minister has been repeatedly cautioning against what he calls the Revdi culture. The matter reached the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has also expressed concerns, and now the EC has come out with some very interesting points in order to control this entire Revdi culture. Do you think this is the right time, the opportune time to make such a move, sir, on the part of the EC, or should there have been more broad-based consultations?
Yeah, Smita, I would hold this view that for reforms, every time is a good time. Because in the field of election management and our democratic processes, most of the well-intentioned people have always been saying that the reforms are not sufficient, that we need better reforms so that we are on stronger path of our elections and democracy management, right? Now, Election Commission has come out with something which makes a very credible reading and credible path in front of us. And so why this noise? I'm not able to understand it. Now, second thing, please, because of a great amount of discussion that has happened in the last few months on freebie, it is being nexused with freebie. It has a connection, but actually in a very legal and technical sense, it doesn't have. And Election Commission has taken the pains in the past, recent past, to disengage itself from that debate and not to be even part of some consultations. Because, and whether Supreme Court's pronouncement or an executive suggestions, it has kept itself away. Now, okay, the freebie debate is a very healthy debate and timely debate. It was initiated by no less than the top political executive of the country, and other parties have their views, commentators have their views. Election Commission has made it clear that it does not want to make any category, any differentiation between this welfare measure and that welfare measure. Because Smita, as you know, my freebie is your social welfare measure and your social welfare measure is my freebie. So
in fact, sir, it is a different debate altogether regarding what is technically a freebie and what is a necessary welfareist measure. That of course is a larger debate, but you have raised a few very pertinent points, sir, which for the benefit of our viewers, I would like to discuss a little more in detail. But before that, please allow me to bring in Shekhar Iyer into the discussion. Mr. Iyer, you just heard Mr. Raut tell us that he is surprised with the kind of reaction that the EC's proposal has generated. But while Mr. Raut may be surprised and he may say that every time is a good time for reforms, the reality is that the political parties have come out with very sharp words, particularly the Congress, the DMK, the RJD and the Shiv Sena. Why do you think parties are so riled by this innocuous proposal, if I may say? And when the entire country is seized with this debate, why should they try to stall it?
Well, Smitaji, these parties, suspect that what the Election Commission is proposing by way of introduction of a pro forma, which the political parties will have to fill under the Model Code of Conduct regarding their manifesto, will eventually become a law that will bar political parties from announcing freebies before the elections, which is far from the truth. As Akshayji was explaining, Election Commission has been constantly looking at the Model Code of Conduct. What can be done to further strengthen it, to improve it, so that the spirit of free and fair election is followed. After all, Model Code of Conduct was accepted by all political parties. That is how this Model Code came. That is why when they wrote a letter on October 4th to all political parties, major parties, regional parties, that let them give their views on a proposed pro forma in which, the parties will explain, what are the financial implications of various things that they are promising to the voters. All they have to do is to file the pro forma, and Election Commission will note it. If some political party does not fill the pro forma or is not able to explain that particular aspect, Election Commission will note it and put it on its website. That's all.
What about some parties, particularly the RJD, Mr. Iyer, particularly parties like the RJD saying this is a huge overreach by the EC? I mean, isn't that an overstatement?
No, they are mistaking it in the sense that they think this is some kind of a follow-up to what the Prime Minister had said about the dangers of welfare, the welfare-oriented electoral politics, or purely, freebie oriented politics, where the whole idea is to somehow, win the elections by promising the moon. Then after coming to power, particularly the regional parties, then they realize that the state treasury is empty. The kitty doesn't have all the money that is required. The budgets don't have those provisions. Then you start complaining by we should get more. The center is not giving. Center is not giving because the BJP is in power. This argument we have seen in Delhi, we have seen in Punjab, and in Tamil Nadu also. Tamil Nadu, they promised so many things, the DMK government.
Yes.
Previously, ADMK has done the same thing. Now, what has happened is many of the promises could not be implemented in the first budget that they presented, the state budget. They said, no, we don't have the money. For instance, the promise of 1,000 rupees to every homemaker, that could not be done. So, the idea is by don't, try to attract voters by making promises you yourself know you cannot fulfill. At least state in the manner, because after all, state finances are limited. The idea is, and Election Commission has repeatedly said, even in the affidavit they filed in the Supreme Court in the response to the recent concern about freebies and what should be done and all that, whether it should be regulated. Election Commission made it very clear that they don't have the wherewithal to sit on the judgment of poll manifestos of parties.
Okay, let us ask Mr. Raut. Yes, please go on.
Yes. See, somehow I think these parties fear that, before 2024, they see the only way to counter Prime Minister Modi's some kind of a pan-India, traction with voters can be countered only if they come up with promises, that outclasses everybody else, and voters are lured into believing that they will do much more things and they will give away more things freely. That is the fear.
Fine, that point is taken. That's a political point, and political parties have a right to think about it in that manner if they want. But Mr. Raut, on this question of overreach, sir, some parties have not only spoken, they have written columns in newspapers saying this is an extreme overreach, the EC is going beyond its mandate. How would you explain that charge, sir? Number one, and isn't the EC mandated within the MCC, the Model Code of Conduct, to come out with such queries or proposal?
I don't agree that it's an overreach. I say it is an efficient reach. It is, I will use the word which Shekharji just now used, pro forma. In fact, in the 2015 MCC modifications which took place after a consultation following a Supreme Court verdict, all this, that there has to be rationalization, wage and means have to be given, those were given by the Election Commission in the MCC amendment. But they have not been efficiently complied with by political parties. So there were loopholes, and those loopholes are being strengthened by adding a pro forma, that's all. And I refuse to be drawn into a political debate on this. I refuse to be drawn to a freebie debate on this. In fact, in the last 2015 order, the Election Commission has taken cognizance that to be respectful towards the directive principles of state policy, political parties can come out with anything that they think is a fair promise to the people. So that's not the debate. The debate is just the pro forma. And the pro forma is, according to me, is a rational pro forma when parties try to understand, and it looks a little technical and difficult to start with. That is why it is a consultation.
Let me ask it more specifically, sir, so it becomes clearer for the benefit of our viewers. India, by our constitution, is a welfare state. Political parties are well within their rights to, announce any welfareist programs, schemes they want, particularly for the poor section of the society. So, does the EC have the right to put queries on such a matter, and how do we understand whether this is welfareist or it's otherwise?
Smita, I'll just ask for the viewers, I'll try to clarify one thing. When the candidate goes into election, he files a criminal affidavit, a financial affidavit, and an education affidavit. That is not a query. That's the voter's right to know. Similarly, in this case, it is the informed choice and the level playing field and transparency which the EC has the mandate to protect and bring up an informed choice of the voters. That's it. It just wants to know, okay, you have promised this, whether freebie or welfare, that is not the debate. What exactly, how many people will be covered, how many families, of which categories, then how much money it will cost. And this money will come out of taxation, out of borrowing, out of rationalization of your other portfolios, or what? And after all this information is obtained, if this is passed on to the voter, then voter can have an informed choice based on the trust with political parties. So I find it as a typical regulator's attempt to rationalize and to efficiently execute a decision which is almost, it's not controversial.
I think, Mr. Raut, you have given a completely new dimension to our debate, and I have not seen this point being raised in any of the media platforms so far through the week, and that is, political parties are very quick to blame the EC for an overreach. But have we even thought about the rights of the voter to have the information and the knowledge when something is promised to them, whether it is even the parties will even be able to fulfill it or not? So on that point, I think it is well within the rights of the EC, as you just said, sir. I shall come back to Shekhar Iyer quickly on one more point, since this is Media Scan. Shekhar Iyer, do tell us, why are newspapers, op-ed writers, columnists, political commentators, why have they been so quick to trash this entire proposal? And we have seen any number of columns, even though it is just a few days.
Well, Smitaji, I think there is an erroneous belief that this has got something to do with the political debate which is going on. You know, after the Prime Minister's remarks, I think this is completely not connected to what the Election Commission is doing, because they should have at least followed what the Election Commission's affidavit to the Supreme Court. They made it very clear that we are not getting into the, this is a right one, this is a wrong one kind of thing, because they are not getting into the debate. All that they are saying is, you just explain, because you see, similarly, the Election Commission has a mandate to tell the political parties, by do not use religion, do not use caste, do not use anything that divides the society as a weapon in your campaign. The Election Commission has those powers. Similarly, Election Commission, and broadly it's about the model code of conduct, because that was essentially evolved over several meetings between Election Commission and all political parties, so that you create a level playing field, you create an atmosphere where the voters are, they're told about who are their candidates, what is their background, what is their educational qualifications, what is the assets they have, what is the financial CA, because these are required to tell the voter so that he can make an informed judgment. Similarly, when the parties are promising, we'll give you free electricity, we'll give you free water, this, that, so many things. But unfortunately, we are also seeing all the states are not able to implement after the elections, because Delhi is a different case. Delhi is a surplus state.
Coming to a common voter, Shekhar Iyer, and you have seen what has been happening. You mentioned Tamil Nadu yourself and various other states as well. Recently, the Punjab elections. Do you think the initiative of the EC, which it is well within its right from what Mr. Raut says, will all this about promising mixies, etc. and television sets, do you think it will come to a stop? Is there a possibility at all?
No, at least it will not come to a stop. At least it will, enlighten the voter that look, promises can be made to win elections. But how does the state government, without imposing new financial burden on the people, is going to mobilize resources? Because see, today what happened? What has happened in Punjab? Same thing. See, Delhi is a different case. Delhi has a surplus budget. So Aam Aadmi Party's promise of free water, electricity did not affect the Delhi budget. But even there you can see they want to streamline this free water and free thing. They are again now saying we will see who wants it, who doesn't want it. The latest decision. But in Punjab, Punjab, what has happened is they promised so many things. And Bhagwat Mann, Punjab Chief Minister, met the Prime Minister saying we need more resources. And Prime Minister assured Bhagwat Mann, see, whatever is due to Punjab will be given. But for the other things that you are envisaging, the state government has to look for resources. So therefore,
hence the concern of the Prime Minister or the Supreme Court or anybody.
No, Smita ji, before election, the political parties, while they are writing their manifesto, they should also apply their mind onto the finances side of their promises.
True, absolutely.
So that voters know how it will be done.
It is the financial implications about which the concerns have been raised, by the way, not just by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his speeches, but by a recent report of the SBI, by various very senior civil servants, bureaucrats who are concerned with the financial health of the government exchequer, and even policy makers. But let me just come back to Mr. Raut on one query. Mr. Raut, we have been discussing in the past few minutes a lot about the political reactions and why parties are riled with the idea, etc. But strictly on the question of rules and laws, sir, now EC has suggested this pro forma for political parties, going by the laws, by the mechanism. What is going to happen now? It will be made into a law. I mean, what is the ABC stage when it becomes mandatory?
There are two parts to it. One is the Model Code of Conduct, which is not a book of law, but it's a book of honest idea. Well, other countries take examples from this.
Yes.
But apparently this and quite a few other parts of MCC are now being discussed whether they are being effective or not. Now, to make certain part of MCC effective, this pro forma has come out. That's it. So it is efficient execution. It's nothing a new political intrusion or something of that sort, a political plunge or overreach. It's just an efficient execution. And see, we are talking about the little noise. Not long ago, I must remind all of us that Election Commission, when the freebie debate started, I have seen commentaries that Election Commission is in charge of superintendence and control of elections, in charge of free and fair election. It is not doing anything. Now something has started happening. A reform process has been initiated. You and I and Shekharji, we do not know what's going to be the final result of it. Okay, there can be an amendment to Representation of the People Act. It can be codified in MCC, or it's for the Election Commission and the political parties, because it has offered the political parties a consultation, right? But to say that it is a wrongful thing, or to say that it is overreach, it's a little difficult to agree.
Absolutely. But as you yourself had mentioned in your opening remarks, sir, there is always resistance to anything that is reformist. There are always suspicions about a new move. But like you, we are also looking forward to it, as the whole country is in a way, seized of this debate about the financial implications of such uncontrolled freebies or schemes that are announced by the various political parties during elections, even after that. So I think both of you gentlemen have been very kind to explain the intricacies of this proposal, as also the politics associated with it. Thank you very much, Mr. Akshay Raut, for finding the time and telling us, like a veteran, what it means for the democratic health of our country. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
And Shekhar Iyer, always so kind to be with us whenever we have requested him. Thanks, and like you, we will look forward to this proposal and how it goes in the coming days. Thanks again. Viewers, like our guests have just explained, this proposal is not only well within the rights of the Election Commission, but it tries to give a substantive picture to the debate that is going on in the country, because today or tomorrow, somebody needs to bite the Revdi bullet. On that, it's a wrap up on Media Scan for this evening. We'll come back to you next weekend. Namaskar.